For everyone at Marriott's Great America. The rides are great, the shows are great, the fun is great at Marriott's Great America. Marriott's Great America. Welcome back, everyone. Just thought I'd get us in the mood with some incredible advertising from when the park was owned by professionals. This is a pretty requested one, and the unfortunate thing is I don't have any full-on top-down photos of the new panel, but I do have it of the old panel. And this is what the old panel looked like before they redid all of these, and they redid all of them after the incident in Kentucky Kingdom. I won't talk about that too much because I think that you already know. But so the way it works, we'll talk about being an attendant first, is there's two attendants, two remote enable panels, one at the exit and one over here by that rusted roof. And what you do is, so everyone comes, the things come down, the restraints unlock, you open up the gates as the operator, and then as the attendant you walk around to all these section ready panels and you press this shoulder restraints button, and that's what locks the restraints. And then you check all 4 restraints in that car, and then you press this section ready button. And when they updated it, they changed this shoulder restraints button so it now has an illuminated light, so you can see whether a section is locked or unlocked. And yep. Oh, and so here's an enable panel. And so the thing that they changed on the enable panel after the Kentucky thing was they moved this ride stop down here, and they added an e-stop to both of the enable panels. Because the issue was when that whole thing happened was stuff started falling and things started breaking while that car was going up, and then the operators just freaked out and left. They didn't attempt to stop the ride because they didn't know what to do. How about hit the huge red button? But anyway, so we'll talk about the panel. It looks different now, but the functions are the same. The only things they changed really on this side were they made these buttons all red illuminated ones. And so up here in the corner, trouble light, the gate switch, so you could either unlock the left side gates, the right side gates, or both sides. So if you're only running half tower, you'd switch this to which side you're running, and then when you flip this entrance gate open closed, it would open just the section that you chose. Right here, this yellow button, that's the lower button. So if you ever press a ride stop while the cars are going up, then you have to use that lower button, and so both of the enable people push and hold their enable buttons, and then you as the operator push the lower button. And actually procedure before the take 5 and all that was, if you're going to lower it, you'd actually give a thumbs down, not a thumbs up. You know, thumbs down for lower. I liked that. They got rid of that though. Up here in the top right, ride start. So yeah, I think it was you press the lower button, and then once they all got all the way to the ground, you press the ride start, and then you'd be able to open up the restraints. And so these are the section enable and disable buttons. So if you didn't want to run a certain car, the procedure was to disable a car, and these buttons were used when it was down on the ground, so you could disable it down on the ground. And so these buttons were used, so you press ride stop, and then disable, and then ride start. Or you press a ride stop, enable, ride start. And that would keep the car down on the ground. Now, if you wanted to send it up in the air at Great America, you had to have maintenance do that. But as we can see here, I also worked the ride in Six Flags St. Louis. And for whatever reason, Six Flags St. Louis was a lot more liberal with their operators. They let them do a lot more. And so on their panel up here, they had a supervisor mode switch, and it was just the same DO18 key as this one. So you could turn the supervisor mode on, and then on this touchscreen that you can see here, you had the option to send a card up to the top. And I think the way I did do it once, and I think you sent them all up. Once they got to the top and they locked, and it shows you on the screen when they're locked and ready, you press the ride stop, switch into supervisor mode, and then there's a button you could press to leave it up there. Press the ride start, and the rest of them would come back down. And then to start the ride, this one I actually it was kind of satisfying. So the enable people would push their enable buttons, and then you didn't have to push and hold these buttons. You just push them both at the same time. They'd turn green, and the ride would start. And then this is for the exit gate to open and close it. And so it's unfortunate I don't have. Oh, maybe I do. Oh yeah. So you can e-stop, ride stop, and then over here you can see there's some buttons and this big black selector, and that's before they had the touchscreen. You could use that selector to tell the system what car you're talking about. But now they have a touchscreen, so you can see that selector moved down, the buttons moved around the touchscreen, and most of the functionality is in here. And as the operator, you can see when all the cars are locked and about to drop. And oh, another thing was at St. Louis, you know how during Fright Fest they do a different dropping order of the cars. You could change the dropping order as the operator on the touchscreen in that supervisor mode. That was one of the functions that was allowed. And so this is an updated Intamin one, but you can see it's still the same thing. Section ready. Push this. A lot of the new Intamins have this, but same concept. These were the spiel switches, and also the switches to turn on the sound effects in the queue, which talk about some great theming. Really shows you when Warner Brothers owned this place, they took things a little more seriously. It's unfortunate they weren't around long enough to finish Bull and put all the theming they wanted to. Like I heard they wanted to enclose this section over here of the track. That would have been cool. But then you see that amazing theming for a little drop ride. Then you look at Goliath, triple world record breaking allegedly, and there ain't a lick of theming. And it's actually quadruple record breaking. I don't know if many of you think of this, but world's most used station, 3 different coasters use this station: Z-Force, Iron Wolf, and Goliath. I don't think there's any other coaster out there like that, because most other companies would be like, maybe we'll dismantle this thing that is 30 years old and build something a little nicer. But oh, and so there's also, if you ever see this is the maintenance carts. This is what they throw on top of the car, and they can ride it up and down and grease the rails. Or in this situation, talk to talk to some people when one of the cables snaps. And so here we are inside the electrical room, big electrical cabinets. Old diagram of the park, all the power zones. These are in most of the electrical rooms. Pretty vintage. IT cabinet. And then same as Viper, this program would just tell you what the error was. You can see this one was error 32. E-stop was pressed. Can't remember why this ride wasn't running that day, but there was some sort of issue. These notes from '97 with people trying to diagnose what's going on with some stuff. But yeah, just trying to think what else about this ride. It's fun to work if it's not hot, because I enjoyed. You were able to move very fast. Like if you had good people checking restraints, you were sending cars up every 60 seconds, because there was a little countdown timer on the touch screen, like how long the cars have been parked, and you could. And so I would always pay attention to that, and when other people do it, it would get up to like 100 seconds, 120, 180, but it would never surpass 60 seconds when I was operating, because we would be pumping those people through. This is actually a pretty high capacity ride if the crew tried. If the crew tried. But yeah, I think that's about it I've got for this one. Feel free to ask me some questions about this guy. I operated it for a couple of years, on and off. Oh, and I don't think I operated it when it had VR, but I did ride it. And I operated Demon when it had VR, and that was the worst day I've ever worked at Six Flags. Was the day I had to work Demon VR with 3 trains on it. And I remember I rode this, and I'm like, okay, so I can see the concept. Like it's kind of cool. However, The technology just isn't there. It's not efficient enough. It can't. It really should not be going at Six Flags parks. They're just too high attended. I mean, maybe America, but then I don't think they'd want to pay, the 5 extra people you have to washing this stuff and all that. Way too much. I really was wishing they had put the VRM Bowl like they originally said, because that would have been the world's greatest cluster F. It would have been so terrible. The station's way too small, and it's the most popular ride. Why would you lower the capacity of the most popular ride by throwing some low Samsung phone on it? Come on. Come on. Yeah, let's take one final look through here. I think I talked about everything that I wanted to. Oh, and this was cool to me because I was in school for electrical engineering at this point. We had been talking about steps for like traffic lights, so it was kind of cool to see steps in real life. The commands that it's sending, and the computer just knows, okay, 130. Now I'm going to drive the run forward in 10 hertz. The encounter counts 3200. At this point, the speed becomes 6 hertz. The next step occurs when the car reaches Proc 6 or 7. Commands the drive to go to 0 speed. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. But yeah, I think that's about it for this one. Feel free to leave me some questions, and we will have plenty more panel reviews coming soon. We got a lot of rides to bang out. Comment which ones you want next. Bye.